friends to the show that never ends. This is Red All Over's Away End show, where we look at the opposition that we'll be facing shortly. To achieve this, we'll be talking to fans of the opposition, so I hope you enjoy the show. Finally, cast your mind back. I remember a 4-year-old boy being lifted over the turnstiles to his first match at Oakwell, standing on the Kop watching his heroes such as Barry Murphy. Now fast forward 60 odd years, the Kop is now an all-seater stand, and it's named the Barry Murphy stand after the legend. That 4-year-old boy is now finally, after all these years, back on the away end. Enjoy the show. Roll the title. Welcome to Chris and Colin from Bolton's Fanzone podcast. Yet again, the four of us are back together. So
the dream team.
The dream team. We've got David that thinks we should set it up just between the four of us every week, and I've done. So we'll dump R2, you dump Ange and Ben, we'll dump Craig and Josh, and we've cracked it.
Jobs are good.
North of England together. I don't know. So, in this particular away end show, we'll discuss the playoff semi-final, current form, who to watch out for, who's most likely to go down in the box for this particular match. We'll ask why Colin and Chris support Bolton, and
what a question.
A lot more than that. So let's get all over it. Chris, Colin, welcome. Tell us about your podcast.
Go on, Chris.
Where do we start? Well, you know what?
Start at the very beginning. That's what Mary Poppins would do.
Oh, we're a baby, aren't we?
Well, strangely enough, our first ever podcast, which was a pilot, was the FA Cup game
against
Barnsley.
Wow. And
the score was Bolton 0, Barnsley 2, if I remember rightly. And it was in October 22.
Sounds about right.
You're looking like I've got my dates wrong. Is that's right, that, isn't it?
I can't remember.
Yeah, because we wore our
centenary shirt, weren't it?
Centenary shirt with the laces up. Yeah, so it was myself and young Ben, and we did a pilot show in October of 2022. So we're about, what does that make us then? About 18 months old. So like Cole said, we're still a baby, but it's it's gone from strength to strength. We've had various players from the current crop, Super John McGinley from days gone by,
Aaron Wilbraham,
good player,
Elias Kachunga,
we've had
NJ Williams,
George
K. Dons.
Are you working him, Colin?
I'm new to October. I thought we played on Bonfire night, 5th of November, first round of FA Cup.
We're at 5th of November. Well, there you go then. Thank you very much. I knew you got it right. You were looking at me like, you got that wrong, Chris. Yeah, that were it. So we're even younger by a week or so. So, it's gone from strength to strength. Just enjoy doing it. We just love doing it, even when times are bad. It's like a car crash, isn't it? More people come on when it's going wrong and they want to comment. So, but no, it's been going really, really well. So,
we're pleasantly surprised, aren't we, Chris? Really, with how well it's gone certainly in recent months. I think the last couple of months it seems to have skyrocketed.
Unbelievable.
Just the live viewing, obviously, all our. If people don't know, all our episodes are done live, both preview and review and everything else in between. And we tend to get around 200 people watching live generally. There and thereabouts.
Yeah.
Which is quite an astonishing number when you think about it. Like if you think about 200 people in a room, it's like, wow, okay.
Yeah, because like you say, in the last couple of months, it's got to that. Prior to that, it was more like 30, 40, 50.
Max,
yeah. And it just went boom, like that. So
you're same as us lads, though, ain't you? You've got a good mix. We've got Tracy and Jane, and you've got Ange. So it's a good mix.
Yeah.
Yeah, we've acquired another Ben as well. We've got 2 Bens. Obviously, them 2 lads are obviously the youthful and more, probably you might say more enthusiastic, you could say, of us all. And then obviously you got myself, Ange and Chris. Yes, we've tried to grow the team a little bit because we're mindful of the fact that next season's fixtures are going to be a little bit here, there, and everywhere with the new Sky deal and stuff, and we're trying to kind of plan ahead for that. But we're very well, except me, I think, but we're very particular on who we've appointed. I think with regards to the podcast, and
that's what Chris said before you joined us. Colin.
Can't have too many rogues, can you? I think I'm probably the only one that's allowed to be that.
You don't need loose cannons, do you?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, not too many.
Never mind. Right, tell us about your current form. Leading into these playoffs, for Bolton. We'll tell you ours if you want.
Yeah, I mean, form-wise, what I would say is I'm not too sure whether it really matters, which I think is probably going to be music to your lads' ears, given your current state of affairs, because it literally is just a little cup competition, isn't it? I think that's kind of the way you got to look at it. But if we are looking at form, I think we are the most in form, maybe out of the... No, actually, I think it's probably... Is it Oxford who's probably just pipples to the amount of points that they've equated in recent weeks. But we've not lost since the Derby game. I'm poor on my dates, but
12 games, isn't it? 1 in 12 we've lost.
Yeah, 1 game in 12. There's been quite a few draws in that, gents, but a good number of wins as well, which is positive. We've not actually played that well, which might seem a little bit of a strange thing to say, considering we haven't lost in 12 games. But yeah, we've not played that well, which I think is a good thing from our perspective, because if you're playing
flashes, haven't we? We've had flashes.
Yeah.
So Oxford 5-0, and then 5-2 against Reading, being where we've shown the best form.
Yeah.
But but other than that, you're right. We've not been that great, have we? Really?
Which is a scary thought, really, isn't it? Really.
Last time we won.
When was that?
Can't tell you that.
That was last time we won.
When was that? You keep fading out.
Sorry, Easter Monday.
Easter Monday, yeah. We've been shocking. We've played. Our recent form, as you both know, has not been particularly good. We drew at home to Reading when we played reasonably well, but then messed up. We pulled it back after going 2-1 down. We played really well at Portsmouth, and we thought we were going to win. We thought we were on for 2-1 because they didn't look like they were threatening us. And then we pressed the self-destruct button and gave away a daft penalty. And although we still argue about whether it were a penalty, but it was because he did it, and then conceded a very, very late goal from a header. He headed in the corner.
Oakwell against Bolton, didn't it? Same thing happened.
That's when it around about then when it seemed to sort of turn around a little bit.
Very simply, it's your fault, Colin.
Yeah,
it's your fault.
Yeah, I thought it was.
I don't honestly. I swear on my little boy's life. When I was walking out of Oakwell that night, I said to myself, that could proper derail Barnsley, that, because and it has done, hasn't it? Because you simply can't be 2-0 up, and then concede 2 goals in the manner that you did, and not expect it not to, really. So sorry about that. I mean, we've both ended up in the same spot anyway, so it doesn't really matter too much, does it? But
well, we were amazed. We were amazed, honestly, Colin. We were amazed because we were so many points like you, so many points clear in the playoffs. It were a done deal, and we have just dropped and managed to scrape through. Just managed. So quite alarming.
An alarming thing, Andy. What I'm just picked up on what you've just said there. You mentioned, I think, 2 or 3 games, and you on each of the occasions you said that you played well, but you still lost.
Still lost. Yeah.
So that's obviously must be a massive concern for you, really. I mean,
it's huge.
I got to admit, from the outside looking in, and I know that Collins wasn't everyone's cup of tea, and I'm sure we'll get into it later in the podcast, but from the outside looking, I simply don't see the logic in getting rid of your manager so late on in the season. It seems a bit of a ludicrous thing to do from certainly from the outside looking in anyway.
There's also nobody knows. Nobody knows.
I mean, at your place, at half time, we should have been 4-0 up, if you're honest. We were all over you that first half, and then you met substitution and you got equaliser. So, I mean, they're going on about Collins, and you didn't like his style of play. But that first 45 at Tough Sheet Stadium, we could have been out of sight.
The problem is, Alec, you've said throughout this season, we've got 45 minutes in us, but not 90 minutes. And that's the bit where it's failed. I don't see. I think most we've seen when we played. We had 70 minutes in his locker, but we hadn't put 2 good 45 minutes together all season, and that's the downfall. Ironically, some of our best football has been against Bolton this season.
So, it's been against the contenders, hasn't it?
It has. Yeah. In the second half of the season, in the first half of the season, we couldn't do anything against the teams that were up at the top with us all. But the second half, we've done a lot better. So who knows? I think Colin's got it right. Alan called it an instant reaction last week. He called it a one-off game. Well, it's two one-off games. It's a shame. It's a shame. It does his best, Chris. It does his best.
I know.
It's a bit of a it's a different kettle of fish in it from last season. I think in terms of the two teams, like not just because of where we finished in the table, but I do think that having that home leg seconds is definitely of benefit to the team. Yeah. You know, the team in question, because I think that's what got you over the line last season against us. I think in the playoffs, having that.
Last season, hadn't it? We were third. Were you 6th last season?
It's switched around, hasn't
it?
I think playing the second leg as well, or certainly us playing the home leg with an evening kickoff makes a big difference to me, Cole. I hadn't thought about it until a little bit earlier, and I was talking to Napper's, doing a bit with him on one of his pods, and we seem to, I don't know whether it's psychological, but evening games at the Reebok under the lights of a big crowd.
Yeah,
it's a big thing.
I think that's the same for every team, in it. Really, everybody goes on about under the lights this, under the lights that, and it's massive, in it.
Yeah,
you know, it's huge. Like that's, like I said before, that's what I think that's what got Barnsley over the line last season against us, because they were the crowd at Oatwell last season were fantastic for them, and it give them that extra little bit of a push to get them over the line, didn't it? And you know, you could say the same thing about Sheffield Wednesday against Peterborough when they turned it round. You know, it's the same script, isn't it? So yeah, we'll have to wait and see. It's a bit of a cup competition, isn't it? Like I said,
of course it is.
I think we know. I think we know where I'm going to ask you, but just tell us and scare us all to death. Which players do you think we should watch out for? Who's going to make a difference to you? Who do you think will make the difference? For both games.
I'll start if you like, Chris. Give you a little bit of a thinking time. Paris Magoma, I think he'll be the key to us. And I watched your show yesterday, and I noticed that you picked out Kyle Dempsey, who is a fantastic midfielder at this level, and I think he gets in a lot of the teams. You know, a lot of the teams starting 11s across the whole division. But he's been kept out of the side by Paris this season, which I think tells its own story. Paris is a level at least above League One, and he's just very, very difficult to play against. He's can go either way. He's obviously very skillful. He can drive well. He drives well with the ball. He can find a killer pass. He can also get in behind the strikers as well and get a shot off. And he scored a few goals this season. So he's just you can just tell, like, you know, when you're watching a player, you just know he's above the level, and he certainly falls into that category. So yeah, I think Paris Magoma for me will be the one that you have to keep a close eye on.
Well, I mentioned him last night as well, Cole.
Yeah.
He's fantastic. He's a fantastic young footballer.
3 and Getting Jones.
Gethin Jones, yeah, used to be with us.
Getting regular start for you.
Say that again. Say that again. Sorry, Al.
Jones ex-Red.
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
Yeah, he took some pelters after his performance against Peterborough, but he's
it's a bit of a steady Eddie, isn't he, Chris? He's never like a 9, 10, 9, yes, 8 or 9 out of 10. He's usually around consistent, pretty around the 7 out of 10 mark.
And he's vice captain. He's got a very, very level head. He just seems to bring a level of stability to the team. I think for me, one of the other lads that you mentioned on your pod last night was Josh Sheehan. Yeah. Our player of the season. His improvement, obviously, he was out long-term injury. His improvement since he came back has been phenomenal. So I think he make a big difference. But I think for me, the one. Can we pause?
No, keep going. You're all right.
I've got my dog whimpering down here.
Oh, hey, listen. There's times, if you watched our show last night, you'd have seen Josh's cat walk across.
Yeah,
I saw that. Yeah,
what you might not have seen is that I'm holding. He's not here now. I'm holding my cat from coming on the screen. So don't worry, Chris.
I tell you what, you know about it. If my dog walks across my desk, I tell you, he's massive. He's about 45 kilos. This fella. Go on, we get some water. Go on.
It adds to the rich tapestry of life, Chris.
He's actually sat in the doorway now, just to be awkward, so I can't shut my door.
Last night, Josh's black cat were walking over while he was talking. If you
I saw it.
And Andy's cat makes an appearance, so.
Oh, it does. It does.
But I think for me,
talk to animals.
I think for me, Aaron Collins is the big one. I think he's made a phenomenal difference since he came in. Obviously, big numbers above his head and whatnot, but he's been not only for his goal scoring output, but obviously, I mean, his first touch, you'll remember, it was his cross for our equaliser against you men at home.
The thing is,
input straight away with that cross, didn't he?
Yeah.
The thing is with Aaron Collins as well, gents, and everybody who's listening and watching this, he's made an impact in a rather quick period of time, a lot quicker than a lot of Bolton fans that I think even Ian Everton, the management team at the club, expected. I think he was a signing for the future.
Yeah.
The club, the not too distant future, shall we say? Not the long term future, of course, but I think he's surprised us how well he's fit in and how much of an impact he's making on games so soon. And I guess he's had to. I think you guys paid reference to Dion not scoring in a couple of months last night on your.
We talked daft, Chris. Honestly, Chris Cole, we talked daft. What do we know? We knew we were injured, but
He's not been playing.
Yeah, that's it. Dion's not scoring. Yeah, Dion's not scoring because he's been injured, but for 2 months.
In your defence, Andy, prior to his injury,
we knew
he hadn't been scoring. He went through a real glut. Which every forward does, though, don't they? I think especially at this level. I think we often forget. Certainly, Bolton fans. I can't speak for Barnsley fans, but we often forget the level that we're currently at. I think we expect a little bit too much from some of the players that we have at our disposal. When you strip it back, they are at the best mid-table to lower championship players, and in the most part top end League One. So you got to have a little bit of perspective, don't you? But going back to Aaron Collins and Chris's point. He's had to step up, and he's done a really good job. And the fact that we've got Dion having now had minutes over the last 2 or 3 games, and he scored at the weekend as well, albeit a penalty, that's obviously good as well for us because, a flying Dion Charles is pretty unstoppable at this level. So it's exciting. I don't really agree with that, Chris.
How's he playing now, Cole? Is he back up to speed?
He's showing glimpses, yeah. I think obviously when for a centre forward, especially more so than any position, you need a little bit of time, don't you, on the pitch to kind of find your match sharpness. Yeah. He's obviously scored the penalty at the weekend.
I know Nathan Batch like 3 on Saturday, but I've been watching. It's been decent for you. It's been decent in sticks, hasn't he?
Nathan Baxter's been fantastic. Yeah, I think he's been missing for a couple of months as well. And I'm not just saying this, but I do genuinely think if he would have been playing the last couple of months, we would have got that second place, because we wouldn't have lost them 5 points that we did to Derby over that two and a half month period. Goalkeeper is the most important position on the pitch by country mile, in my opinion, and the drop off from Nathan Baxter to our backup goalkeeper was rather large, and he won us a few. He played quite well in parts, but he lost us a few points as well, didn't he, Chris, over that 2.5 month period?
Unfortunately, he did. Yeah, it was a big blow to us losing him. I think you got to look at it from the point of view that whose gloves he were filling. Obviously, we had James Trafford, who went on to obviously massive things in the Premier League. Some not brilliant, but Trafford was brilliant for us last season. So for Baxter to come in and take over from Traff was huge, and he did a fantastic job. So to lose him, ironically, in a game against Barnsley was, it was a big blow, and the drop off, as Cole said, was massive.
It cost us that, gents. That's the reason. You know, you were saying before, Andy, about gutted that we didn't get in that automatic. That I do genuinely think that's the reason why we didn't.
Yeah. Well, that's what I was going to ask you. You know, you've got Dion Charles, you've got Magoma, Kyle Dempsey for me. You've got Ricardo at the back, Santos at the back. Sheehan pulling all the strings. How the hell did you let them flipping beat you to the seconds? What's wrong with your team? Just tell us the weaknesses. There's got to be a weakness if you're going to let old men of Derby get.
I mean, Rams beating Trotters. How can that happen?
What's going on? What's going on with that?
I think it's up here. I think it's a mentality thing. You know, I always think about Paul Warne, and it's not a Derby podcast, but I always think about Paul Warne. I always think about Rotherham and how they used to grind out results, and they'll win 1-0, they'll win 1-0, they'll win 1-0. We'll go 4-0, win, 2-2 draw, 1-0 loss. And it goes in these little cycles that the consistency isn't there, the mentality isn't there. I think it started to shift a little bit, and I'm hoping I'm right, that they are becoming stronger in the head. I think Saturday was a big one for me. I don't know what you think, Cole. Obviously, beating Peterborough as we were 2-0 and then getting pegged back and then losing 3-2. But then to come back and draw, as weird as a result it was, and it was a very, very much a last game of the season job, that showed a bit of a shift for me in terms of mentality. And Cameron Jerome has really helped with that.
He's an on-field coach, isn't he? Essentially, he plays bare minimum of minutes, but he makes an impact vocally and tactically. I think a lot of the time coming on the pitch.
He's been a difference maker in that respect, and I think that has really helped that mindset shift, if you will. But that's what's, in answer to your question, Andy, that for me has been the thing that's held us back. Just the capabilities there, and the talent is there, and the players are there, but it's holding it together.
Just to expand on that a little bit, and I was gonna say exactly what Chris said as well. But the difference between us and Derby is everything that Chris has just said, but also experience. And Chris lent on that a little bit when it comes to Cameron Jerome. But if you look at Derby's team, not only the management as well with Paul Warne, but if you look throughout the team, you Conor Hourihans and so forth, they've played at a higher level and they know what's expected of them. Mendes Langers and other players of that ilk. They're obviously the north side of 30, but we haven't really got that nous. And they pay for it, don't they? The wage bill's obviously a lot higher than ours, and that's why they've been able to probably get promoted, because they've got more experienced players and players who can grind out results, like Chris said.
You've got better players, though.
On paper, but we all know that we've all been watching football long enough between the four of us, and we know that it's not played on paper, is it? And
we're interested. Chris said, it's a bit of a mentality thing, against them. You've not beaten us. We've done you a couple of times. So
yeah, exactly.
Maybe, just maybe, we know that we've not been playing really well. I'm clutching at straws, Chris. I appreciate this. I'm clutching at straws. But picture this. You've not beaten us. Last year, sorted you out. I know it were, the ties were the other way around, home and away.
Yeah.
But the mentality, do you think you might think you can beat us? Cole probably thinks he's going to beat us. Do the players, does Ian Everett, do the players think, or is it back of the Reds? They did us last year. They did us in the FA Cup. They did us in the playoffs. We played them so many times. Or is Ian Everett going to
play cagey like he did last year?
Is it going to be a repeat? Is it going to be revenge, or is it going to be a repeat?
It's got to be back of your mind, hasn't it? You'd be short-sighted to just completely, put it in a box and park it. It's got to be there, hasn't it? Come on, let's be realistic.
It's not in the back of our minds, Chris, honestly.
Yeah, I know. But however, it's how you use it. Do you use it as a means of grinding you down, or do you use it as an incentive for revenge? And I think it's very, very much the latter. I don't know. I can see something different in this team, and as I say, it might come back and bite me, like the Thogden comment and or whatever. But it's I just see a different mentality, and that fragility seems to have been tempered a little bit now.
The proof will be in the pudding on Friday, gents. Obviously, I think if we come out of Friday with a positive result, then that because we're very good at home, you see. So that's the thing. And like I said before, having that home fixture second is massive for the team in question.
Well, I'm going to bring some tissues with me on Friday night, and I hope, I don't think it'll happen, but I hope that I can lend them to you.
Well, yeah, let's be honest. You've got some good players, and you've got players that can hurt us. So anything can happen in football, can't it? I wouldn't be going to Oakwell on Friday as a Barnsley fan, thinking that the game's over. It's not by any stretch. You've got every chance of turning us over, and if you can take a victory to our place, then quid's in, aren't you?
And I think
our players have to be a 5-0 victory.
I was thinking that.
I think our players have something to prove.
Of course they are.
Last month, they're not as bad as what they've been playing.
Mm.
And I think they've got to come out and believe in themselves and their own ability.
I think the problem you've got, again, from what I've seen, and I have tried to watch recent highlights, it's that midfield, arguably the best midfield in the league. You tell Barnes' midfield, arguably the best midfield in the league in terms of kind of the overall structure and what that midfield offers, both offensively and defensively. Obviously, Devante Cole not scoring in recent weeks has not helped you at all.
And he's not even been injured. We can't even blame it on injury.
Can't even use that. What I was going to say is the key to it for me is your defence. It just looks weak. Like without that lad, that American lad you signed, Hines, who I think was just finding his feet a little bit and looking pretty tidy at this level. Losing him is huge, I think, for you, and that's where I think.
He played 3 games though. And
he did, but
so he scored 2 goals in that time.
No, yeah, but what I'm getting at, sorry, Al, what I'm getting at is he was obviously signed for a reason, weren't he?
Yeah, you're absolutely right, Colin. We knew leading up to the transfer window in January that we were struggling in defence. We all know we were conceding early goals, conceding late goals, all that. So we brought Josh Erling, who started brilliantly, and he's making a few mistakes, but he's a good player. He's a good player.
With the level, absolutely.
Bring Dominic in. Donovan, we call him Dominic. Donovan Pines in.
Can't blame me for that, Andy.
No, I know. We keep getting his name wrong.
Well, you've money at this level, money, be it on wages or be it on actual transfers, money at this level is tight, innit? So if you're investing money in 2 defenders in January, that says everything you need to know where you were at prior to January, basically.
And the same for us with Aaron Collins. I think you could say the same in that respect. Biggest transfer in a long time.
I think
too
so.
Much reliance on Dion.
And I can't believe you've not mentioned Big Vic. Can't believe
he's been injured as well. He's been injured as well.
Injured, bless him. He's back. He's been on the periphery the last few weeks. He's not even been on the bench, but he's been training again, and I believe he's available this weekend. You'll probably see him on the bench.
Has he been out for about 6 to 8 weeks, Chris?
Yeah, 8 weeks now. Yeah, we missed him. He's been quality.
We just know he's going to come on and score a winner right at the end. We just know it. It's it's written in the stars. Either that or Luke O'Connell will. One or other.
Bless him.
I'm not going to say anything about Luke O'Connell because I say enough on Twitter, and I don't want to get myself in trouble with the Barnsley fans.
Don't set that rumor off. He's signed a new contract. He's still under contract.
He's coming on.
Just like football, just like the football this summer. It's coming on.
Anyway, you were saying yesterday about Everett coming to manage you.
Oh, it's nailed on. Do you know? I'm sorry to break it to you.
Oh, mate.
I'm sorry to break it to you. I love Ian Everett. I love the way he squared up to Michael Duff and squared up to Connell. The only thing I worry about Ian Everett, because I remember him so well, because Chesterfield's not just down the road from where I live. He was an outstanding, tough, hard centre half. I really liked it. I didn't know if he'd make it as a manager or coach, but he's done a tremendous job.
He's been brilliant. Yeah,
it certainly doesn't set us up in the way that he used to play.
No. Well, we know what the Twitter artists say. We know they all say, he's going to be, if he don't do it, he's going to be sacked and all that. So I just played on that. He's going to come to us. You can see it, can't you? Tuesday night, we beat you. Next Tuesday night, you sack him. Wednesday, he comes to us, so he's still up. He gets his Wembley dream.
I think if you've not got a manager by next Tuesday, that'll be pretty miraculous. I think you have to look at appointing somebody in the next couple of days, surely.
We're here.
Yeah.
Who knows? Who knows?
The dream team's here.
Who knows? You can't. So many people were clamouring for Neil Collins to be sacked. Sack him now. And as soon as the board did, why have you sacked him with one game to go? You think you can't? You know what it's like on Twitter and elsewhere. You can't make it up. But
no,
I don't actually think. I don't know. I would love us to. We're not going to, but I would love us to sign somebody like Richie Wellens, or I like Grant McCann, who's an ex-player of ours that now.
Oh yeah.
His son Bailey,
but they're in playoffs as well.
His son Bailey plays for our under-18s.
Yeah,
Bailey McCann.
So I've always liked Grant McCann as a player as well as a manager. So, but they're in playoffs. You never know, Colin. But personally, I can't see us. You watch. Get ready to. I'll save this clip. We'll not sign it. We'll not sign a coach by the playoffs. You watch, and then I can play it back and say, "What a fool I was saying that."
I think even if you did, is there enough time for the manager to implement his style and get to know his players and the way they play? The only way that'll work for you is if you brought back Milado from last season.
Yeah.
Can't see.
Well, Martin Devaney
won't bother me.
As interim at the moment, he said it were going to, in his press conference, the shackles were going to be off. There were no Jason shackles off on Saturday, Andy. They were much of a muchness. So that the players are geared up to play a certain style.
That's why I'm mentioning Duff,
Yeah, we'll see. But it could have happened. The only thing you can do is to get a Kevin Keegan style in that'll, tub thumping and say, get at him, get under him, and all
Neil
that.
Warnock.
Without any idea of what it means at all. Just get under him.
Get Neil Warnock in for 3 games.
Another ex-player. He always comes up. Whenever we lose a manager, he comes up.
We've seen Warnock play, haven't we, Andy? For Barnsley.
This is the sorrow of being so old, Chris. Honestly, we've seen Neil Warnock play, and that's a worrying thought for us.
I bet you Chris has as well.
Just about, actually, I think. Thinking about it. Let's not go.
I want to know a little bit about you two. Now, let me tell you this. We've got the guy that does a lot of our work behind the scenes is our financial director. He owns the bank account. I'm going to bull him up. Tom Webster. I'm going to bull him up for our instant reaction shows that we do after most home games. He does all the editing a bit. He does the filming and the editing. He sorts our online shop where you can buy stuff like this merchandise and this merchandise. I'm just getting it in because my colleagues would be gutted if I didn't mention our online shop.
I tell lads to watch Sky because Tracy's got some merch coming on back of the car.
I'll come back to that. Right, Tom's got twin sons, George and Isaac, and I told you this before we started. They call themselves Little Alan Andy, a bit like Ant and Dec. They think that they're gonna when me and Alan pack it all in, they're gonna take over from me and Alan.
I thought you were going to say peg it. Then you said pack it in.
Well,
Whoa.
I was going to say that, Colin, but Smithy gets upset with me when I said don't buy any long playing records, Al. He gets upset with me. So
don't start any box set.
You're trying to kill me off. He keeps every show. Stop trying to kill me off. So we avoid him if we can at the grounds because we don't know what they're going to do. They might try and bump us off. Who knows what they're going to do?
Spike you, Bovril.
They think they're going to take it over. That's what they think. So as part of that, they're now 11. Can't believe they're 11. They started this when they were 9-year-old. They're now 11. And they want to ask you a couple of questions. And it's about your two. It's not about Bolton particularly. It's about you two individually. So okay. I'll get them on in a second to ask the question. So if you can answer it first, this first question, there's 2 questions. You can answer the first one first, Chris, and then you, Colin, and then we'll switch it around for the second question. Yeah. So I'm going to put them on for the first question.
Can you remember your first away game, or are you too old like Andy?
Yes. That's a miracle in itself, isn't it? My first away game was at Wembley.
Wow.
So I think you know which version of Wembley it was.
Twin Towers.
Yeah.
The proper Wembley. So it was in 1986, and it was what was then, was it the Freight Rover or the Sherpa van? But obviously what is now the Bristol Street Motors. And we lost 3-0 to Bristol City. So it wasn't the most successful away days, but obviously it's one that you never forget because it's under the Twin Towers and it's a special day, win, lose, draw, whatever. So yeah, that was my first away game.
Can you still feel the pain though, Chris?
You know what? I can a little bit, yeah, because it was disappointing. Obviously, there was a lot of build up to it. You go into Wembley, build up for a big day and all that, and then to get a good slapping off Bristol City, yeah, it wasn't pleasant. It's certainly not a memory that you want to take with you.
Colin, I think we were the last team to play Twin Towers, wasn't it, Andy?
It was.
Ipswich, 2000.
Yeah. We were the last. It was the last club match at the old Wembley when we lost to Ipswich. Flipping it, Colin. Now, obviously, Chris is a fair weather fan. There his first away matches at Wembley, a glory hunter. that didn't work out right, and it didn't work out right for him.
Well,
what were your first? Can you remember your first one?
Excluding trips to Wembley, because I think I'll just move away from that because Chris has done that bit. But mine was Prenton Park. Which was obviously Tranmere's grounds. In the year 2000, ironically, Al, we played them in the League Cup semi-final, 2-legged affair. We lost 3-0 at Prenton Park. Yeah, that was a pretty horrific. I was back in 2000. I was 12-year-old, something like that. Yeah, so that was quite famous in many Bolton fans' memories, and probably Tranmere's as well, because I think Sam Allardyce, who was a manager at the time, he basically told the players not to bother getting a shower and jump on the coach and bugger off. And yeah, he had a bit of a run-in with John Aldridge, yeah, back then. So yeah, very, very young back then, of course. And shortly after that, I think the one after that would have been, I think it was a Premier League game in 2001 down at Upton Park when Michael Ricketts scored late on, and we beat them 1-0 or something like that at West Ham. So yeah. So what's that? 24 years ago now.
At the old boiling ground then at West Ham.
Yeah, one of my favourite away games. That actually, I went to Upton Park lots of times over the years and seen us win a few times, seen us lose a few times. But yeah, that's definitely up there with one of my favourite away grounds. That, as well as Villa Park, I think would be up there in Highbury as well. Not Napa's is Highbury, the original one.
Yeah. We saw you sneak while Colin were talking. We saw you sneaking, Chris, to shut the door when there's with the dog. We saw you.
You were whimpering, bless him.
Right.
That weren't Colin whimpering.
We'll come to your second question. So I'm going to put the little ones on, the little scamps on yet again to ask you their second question.
Why don't you support a good team like Man City or Liverpool, or best of them all, Barnsley?
Do you want me to answer first?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, you're from Bolton. You support Bolton. Simple as that. I mean, what I would say is in an area like Bolton, which I actually don't live in anymore, but you have quite a few teams to choose from, because obviously there's quite a lot of teams in a very, very short area, small area, should I say. But yeah, I think you don't really have much of a choice. Don't get me wrong, as a kid, I had, Newcastle shirts, Liverpool shirts, all bits and pieces. But,
why, Colin? Why would you do that? If you're a Bolton fan, why would you do that?
Yeah, well, the Liverpool one was, I was obsessed with Robbie Fowler as a kid. Like, I was a centre forward as a young kid, and I just couldn't get over how he scored so many goals. So I had a Fowler, and I had Newcastle shirt with Shearer, and Bolton shirt with John McGinley. There's a theme here. There's goal scorers, aren't there? And obviously then, from with Bolton, obviously being from Bolton, but my dad used to play for the Wanderers as well as in the youth setup, and there's a bit of a back story with my family when it comes to Wanderers as well. What me great uncle Bert Cole was a scout for Bolton Wanderers, and he scouted the late great Nat Lofthouse
at Burnham Park. Yeah.
So my great uncle, my dad's uncle, was a scout, and he scouted Nat Lofthouse. So there's a bit of a story with that. Like Bert Cole is in Nat Lofthouse's book, and if for the Barnsley fans who don't know, Nat Lofthouse is one of England's greatest ever goal scorers. He scored 30 goals in 33 appearances, I think. But he basically, long story short, he asked my great uncle but to buy him a push bike if he scored a hat trick on his Bolton debut. And he did. He scored 3 on his Bolton debut as an 18-year-old. So my dad's great uncle Bert had to buy him a push bike as a bet, if you will. And it's in his book, not Lofthouse's book. That you can go and check it out if you wish to do so. It's a true story, which is quite mad, isn't it, if you think about it? Like with the way that 18-year-old footballers are these days, when it comes to playing at that level, which he was at the time for us in the 50s, we were winning FA Cups and all sorts. So he was effectively an 18-year-old Premier League footballer, and he wanted a push bike as a well done or whatever it might be, just so he can get to and from training and the coal mines as well, which he worked on at the time as an 18-year-old. So
that's absolutely incredible story.
Yes, true story.
Fortunately, Tommy Taylor, our ex-Red, he went to Man United, didn't he, and lost his life at Munich disaster. So he'd be an England, striker, Winnart,
yeah, would have been, yeah,
it would have been.
But yeah, that's a story. That's me on my dad's side. That so the Bolton, even though like I said, Rangers shirts, Liverpool shirts.
Oh, Rangers as well now. It's getting worse.
Also, I had all sorts. I had a very privileged upbringing. I got whatever I wanted. So if I wanted a Les Ferdinand shirt or an
Andy, it was sport for choice.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can't. Fair weather. I thought.
I think it all changed around 1995. Reading playoff final and Liverpool in the League Cup final as well. I think it all changed from then. But yeah, that's me. But
that's Chris. But you can't beat that, Chris. Can
I can't follow that, can I?
No.
Although,
Keep to go, Chris.
Drum roll.
Although there is a picture circulating on social media of me wearing a Manchester United top.
Wow.
I was 12. I was young. I was impressionable. But my family, it's funny actually, isn't it, Cole? Because we were only talking about this on the way to Peterborough on Saturday. My dad was more into his cricket and his snooker and things like that. He wasn't particularly football motivated. He didn't really follow the Wanderers, nor did many in my family, even though we were born and raised in Bolton. Bit of a weird one. And ironically, my son, who I go to the match with, Sam, who's 18 now, Sam, named after Big Sam. I came home from work one day and Sandy, the missus, said, Sam's got something to tell you. I was like, oh, wait up. Something's going to come out here, some revelation. And he said, Dad, I want to support Man United. And Sandy to this day makes reference to that look on my face when he told me that.
For the Barnsley fans listening, of course, with which I'm sure there'll be many, the geography of this makes sense from Chris's perspective, because Bolton as a town obviously is quite a large town from the top going towards the Blackburn and Preston way, straight down to the bottom going towards, of course, Manchester, and before that is Bury. And of course, that is where Chris is lad grew up. So very, very, for people whose geography isn't on point, it's very, very, very close to Manchester, even more so than Bolton. So.
And it's something.
I waved at you on his way to Blackpool the weekend. I waved as I passed your stadium.
On the 61,
Yeah, absolutely.
I didn't get a response back.
We'll sort that out for you. Don't worry. Next time you do, you will. So
has Sam sorted himself out yet, Chris?
He has. He's a season ticket holder. He sits next to me and he goes to all the away games with me.
I met him at Oakwell when we played at Oakwell. I met him. He's even got a picture with Toby Tyke.
He has. Yeah, there is a picture doing the rounds with me, Colin, Sam, Toby Tyke. Great evening that. So, but it was, we talked about the first away game, and with it being at Wembley, that was very much what got me invested, and I've never looked back since. So,
I'll just say this. Is Sam likely to watch this?
Oh, aye.
Sam, I'm glad that you finally listened to your dad. You shouldn't. He's your dad. He gave you life. You shouldn't be putting him through that sort of stress. It's not right. It's not right. Not. I'm glad you've grown out of it and you've sorted yourself out.
Yes.
Well done, Sam.
He had a therapy if he wanted to change.
I'll tell you, before we come on to predictions, I just want to say, I think I've done really well because I've not talked about God's own country against the dark satanic mills. I've not talked about the red rose against the white rose. God, there's so many. Let me ask you. We did a show at a local working men's club. This always confused me. How come the team from the Red Rose County
plays in white,
opposite,
and the team from the White Rose County playing red? It's a nonsense, isn't it? It's an absolute nonsense. So I don't know how to square that away.
There must be something in that history wise. It is weird. That really weird.
Yeah.
But I don't know. Well,
we've had a few red shirts over the years, though.
We have away
shirts, yeah.
Oh, our away strip is well. It is this year. It's white this year, and it's historically always been a white shirt. We've messed about with the second strip at times and had different colours and to sell a few shirts and what have you. But a lot of the time, our second strip, away strip, call it what you want, because it's 3 strips now, isn't it? We don't just have 2 strips.
I have a third kit.
I'm pretty sure, I stand corrected with this, but I'm pretty sure that when we were formed in, 1850?
No, it's 1874.
1874, sorry. We had a red and white kit with like red blobs on it back then. Might be wrong with that, but you can check it.
That was when we were Christchurch prior to being Bolton, wasn't it? because it was 18.
Pretty sure there was more of a prominent red in the home kit when we were first formed in 1877.
Well, just think this, Col. It could have been worse. It could be a red shirt with stars on it. It
Oh, I
could
know.
always have been that iconic.
What is going on there with that?
Me and Alan are too old to understand.
You must be glad season's almost over, so you can ditch that.
The only good thing I like about it, and the second strip, the white strip, is that they do it in really big sizes, so I can get in it, rather than trying to wear a shirt and not being able to breathe. I can now actually breathe in a Barnsley shirt, which is nice. So obviously I'm not wearing it. No, there's a limit to how much you can. Often wear it on shows, but I think not if I'm talking to fans such as you, because it's too much pain for me to have to try and explain. Kid Super. Julianne Kay, who's one of our directors, good friends from America with Kid Super, who designed it. We had a shirt, were it 1979, something like that, Cal? Shaw's Carpets that had got a couple of stars on it, so I think we've just added stars to it. So it's like, It's supposed to be a hark back to
it's a retro, isn't it?
Days. Yeah, a retro shit. Glory days of the past. And all that. But
fair enough.
It's but you see, people go on about the thing that bothers me, Colin. Red shorts. No. Oh, no. White shorts. Red, white, red socks. None of this red shorts business. Oh, no. That needs to change for next season. Whatever division we're in, whatever we do. And I'll tell you this much, because I mean this most sincerely. I've said this to you before. I wish if we are going to face each other in the playoffs, it were at Wembley. I'm really, really such a shame.
That would have been nice, wouldn't it?
At Wembley.
Yeah, it would. It would.
That would have been.
That shirt, Andy, what 1989-90 season?
89-90. Ah, right. I got it.
Knowledge. There's your knowledge.
He'll have checked on bloody Google. Don't listen to him. Listen. You can always tell with Alan because he starts looking down like that.
I just Google, not
Google.
It's like Alan's like a born-again teenager. His phone's stuck. It might be off screen, but it's stuck, reared up there next to him. He can't live without it. When we go out for something to eat, like we go to Oatwell once a month, you have to prize it off him because it's there. It's there. We are anything. He can't. Teenager. He's a teenager.
Must admit, it's funny you should say that. When he messaged me earlier on today and on Twitter, and I was very surprised at how quickly he responded back to me. So that kind of backs up what you're saying, I guess, doesn't it?
He's been winding our fans up all day on it about ticket allocations. I've said him.
He's a wrong one. Right. I've known him for 66 years now. Very, very nearly 66 years. Let's say 65 years. And he's always been a wrong one. I've known him for that long, and he's always been like that. And it'll never stop. I won't want to change him. Look at him. How can you not love that face? Look at him. Bless his cotton socks. But yeah, I'll tell you what we do. Play in Red all over. We play Smithy Bingo. So watch for it on Twitter. Just watch for it, because in the away leg, when we come to your ground on Tuesday, you'll see photos of Smithy getting on coach, Smithy having his breakfast, what he's having for breakfast, Smithy what he's having for dinner, Smithy with a pint of beer, Smithy at your ground, Smithy at the final whistle. Bingo.
I hope no one's camped up outside his house waiting to rob him if everybody knows where he is every 2 seconds of every day.
An influencer, isn't he? Clearly, he's one of these social media influencers. It's obvious. That's what they all do, isn't it?
I prefer to refer to him as a barn pot, to be honest, rather.
I think.
Oh, he's still there, Al. You see? Sorry, Al.
Look, Andy. I didn't have a paper around as you. Look at that. Look at my lot.
I know, Al. Listen, Craig, who's coming on your... I hope to God... Are you two on your show tomorrow night? Because Craig's coming on it.
Chris and Ben.
Oh, Chris, give him some stick. Because I wear my hat. I wear a hat and people say, oh, he's like Indiana Jones with hat. And obviously I'll take that.
Yeah.
What does that sod, Woody, say? Uncle Fester. He'll start on you, Chris. He'll start. Don't have it, Chris. Stick up for me, Chris. Give him some.
Don't you worry. I'll stick up for us follically challenged chaps. Don't you worry.
Good lad. And if he don't bring it up, go for him. Just go for
Oh,
him.
I'll have
He'll
him.
not know what to do.
I'll have him.
So he'll not watch this because it'll go out after his bedtime. So don't worry about that. Right, right. Who's going to go down? I was trying to tell me who's going to go down in our box from your team. I know who's going to go down in ours. In your box, it's going to be either Devante Cole. It could be McAtee.
Herbie Kane.
It would be Herbie Kane, the master. Herbie Kane will go down anyway. If we bring on Barry Cotter as a right wing back, right wing or whatever, we'll long throw. So if he comes on, watch for his long throws. He goes down if he's on his own. He don't need anybody to tackle him to go down, don't Barry? So who's going to go down in our box from you and get that all-important penalty that flipping Dion Charles is going to put him for winner?
I'd say Aaron Collins, Chris. I think he likes to leave a leg in, doesn't he? No,
Yeah,
I've noticed.
Yeah, there were one on Saturday at Peterborough. My God, he went down in installments. He was like, "What are you doing, man?" But no, for me, I think, and he's done it so well this season. And you might remember he did it quite well at Oakwell. Cameron Jerome.
Yeah, he's good at it.
He's one experience. That's the experience again that we were talking about before.
4 penalties. He's won us.
Do you think he means to do it, Chris, or do you think he's just so old that he just topples over because he's knocking on?
Yeah,
you know what? With that one at Oakwell a couple months back, and I know that I read online like there was a bit of a split on, of course, Barnsley and Bolton fans, but I do think it was a penalty. I just think he just knew he felt him, didn't he? And he just knew how to go down. Do you get what I mean? There was definitely contact, and he definitely was a foul, but effectively he dived. But he's just knowing how to dive. Like we had, like Kevin Davis, for example, he used to go down. Yeah. He used to go down like he knew exactly how to go down. You know what I mean? So there's how you go about doing it. You know, we had Kevin Davis, but at the same time we had Elijah Juve, who again he knew how to go down. Do you get what I mean? But he obviously went down in a different type of way. But yeah, Cameron Jerome knows what he's doing. That's what I'm trying to say.
And Will Finney's referee on Friday for first leg, and his last 7 games he's getting 18 yellow cards out.
Oh, great! It's George Thomason done.
Yeah, I was going to say, get on social media, warn George Thomason. God blimey.
You watched that show last night, so I'd no idea until I just had a quick look on FootMob, as it happens, about we've conceded. There's only Fleetwood, so Napper's well done. Have conceded more penalties than us. We've conceded 9.
Yeah,
and you've had more red cards than I think 6. I think over the season, and there's only a couple of teams. I think there's only 2 teams that have had more red cards than you. One of which is Fleetwood again.
Yeah, I know.
So Fleetwood appearing in everything. So
the thing is,
you'll go down to 10 men, but you'll score a last-minute penalty winner. It
should be caveated with how many get rescinded, though.
Yeah, that's fair comment. That's fair.
You know what I mean? Because we've had some absolute howlers, mate. We really are. You're always going to say that. Oh, I never read that. Never read when it's your player. No, we never read.
Well, tell the gents the one at Blackpool, Chris.
The what?
With the one at Blackpool. Tell the gents and everybody listening the one at Blackpool with Rico.
Oh, with Santos.
Yeah.
Oh, unbelievable. You know, we were. We were. Well, you'll have been Black. You'll have been Bloomfield Road, and you're miles away. We're at the opposite end of the ground, and Santos put his boot. You could see. I always go. Obviously, you think about it with when you're watching the Premier League with VAR and what have you. I always go with what you think is right instinctively. So that first initial impact or ball movement, whatever it might be.
In real play as well. In real play, yeah. In real time.
Go where you got as a fan or as a ref, whatever. Definitely took the ball. Footage showed it. Red card. Off he went. Penalty. But double jeopardy. You know, you can see the penalty unless it's violent conduct to prevent the player. He put a foot in for a tackle. So whether it was a bad tackle and a penalty, he shouldn't have gone off anyway because he gave the penalty.
It got rescinded though, didn't it?
Well, that's why we're talking about it.
Absolutely.
And stood at Oakwell. It was just before we were playing you.
Right.
And that's the thing. And that's the thing, Al. Normally it's rescinded on the basis of evidence. So you scrutinise it, you replay it, and you look at it again. You get, in fact, you establish the fact that you were wrong. It wasn't that. All they did was they applied the correct rules, which are about double jeopardy.
Jeopardy, yeah.
And if you give the penalty, unless it's what's the term I'm looking for? Violent conduct. And not a tackle, then you can't send them off, and he sends him off. You know what I mean? It's madness, and we've all seen it, haven't we, in League One?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Some funny decisions from some funny
Standard refereeing this season has been diabolical.
Well, you've got referees who don't know the rules there, haven't you? That's the thing.
And that's a prime example. It's ridiculous. But there you go. We are where we are. And we
lost that game, by the way. And we were actually on top for the majority of it. And you go down to 10 men and you lose the game 4-1. And again, potentially contributes towards your final total end of the season. And these are the things that you're dealing with, aren't they? Referees who actually don't know the rules, which is just...
I mean, it's good that it gets rescinded, but it doesn't help you.
Well, when you got beat 4-1, it's irrelevant, isn't it, really?
Yeah, that's it. Damage is done.
Damage is done, absolutely.
Yeah.
Let's finish off then. Let's tell me, just for the first match, for the game at Oakwell on Friday, what do you think the score is going to be?
Go on, Chris, let you go first, mate.
I think we're going to get a win, and I think we're going to win 2-1, and then I think we'll go all out at home, even with a goal in a goal lead. I think we'll go all out and win by a couple.
They're going to bring some tissues just for it, Chris.
Social media going to win 4-0 at Oakwell and 5-0 at your ground at Duff Sheet. So, well, it's foregone conclusion, lads.
That's it.
Be careful, Al. Be careful, Al. If it happens, be careful. Colin, what do you think?
I'm going to go against the norm from norm in terms of my usual predictions. I'm usually very confident. I'm confident over the course of the ties, plural, but on Friday, I think it'll be quite edgy, and I think it'll be a draw. I'm going to go for 1-1, but referring back to what I said earlier about our home record for Tuesday, I think that'll be where you'll come unstuck. But Friday, which is what you asked, Al, I think we'll go. I'll go 1-1.
Do you know, it's scary because you two, you've mirrored me, Colin, because I'm saying 1-1, and Chris is mirroring Alan because he's saying 2-1 to Bolton. So,
look, it's the mind games. We're transferring it. Look, you can feel it, can't you? Come on, look into my eyes.
You say that, you say that, Al, but I think when in your heart of heart, you know where your team's currently at, don't you? And you know what you watch every single week, and you know what you've been watching over the last few weeks. So, yeah, I mean, I understand the reverse psychology type of thing, but when you're in a predicament,
but I think, as I said, the pressure's off us.
That's very true.
We're on free fall, and for you, I mean, your fan base, and you've got the desire to leave League One. You want to leave League One.
We have to. Yeah, we have to as soon as possible.
Yeah, I mean, the pressure's on you to get out of this league.
It is. It absolutely is. I couldn't agree more with that, to be fair.
Well, what can we say? I'll just remind you of this. You've not beaten us. So don't get upset if history repeats itself again. It'll not. But don't get... If it don't, leave the tissues at our reception for me, because I'll definitely.
Well, it's a two-legged affair. This is what we've said throughout the podcast. Even if we don't, get the result that we want on Friday, like I said, it's so important to have that second leg at home. So I think Bolton fans should be pretty relaxed about the situation.
And it just proves like last year with Peter on Wednesdays. It's never over until final whistle.
No.
Second leg's over, is it, lads?
No,
not at all.
Very, very true.
So if we beat you on Friday 7-0, don't worry. you could easily score 7 or 8 goals.
We've scored 7. We've scored 7 at home this season already. To be fair,
Exeter
And 8, yeah.
You
That'd
did.
really count. The 8 one doesn't
No,
really count,
against
does
kids, that, wasn't it?
Yeah. Stupid trophy.
Gentlemen, thank you ever so much for coming on the show. It's been, as it always has been, an absolute pleasure.
Likewise.
Hopefully, we'll get the chance to talk again before the second leg.
I'm sure we will.
Hopefully. So, lads, all the very best next season.
Thanks for having us, gents.
Cheers, gents. Thank you very much.
Take care, lads. Finally, as Kenneth Wolstenholme said in 1966, there are some people on the pitch, they think it's red all over. It is now.